Hello everybody, we are back with Sheryl and we have one more course to talk about. This is the Project-Based Learning Immersion, Designing Quality Projects, Part 2. Now I believe this is the second part to the Introduction to Project-Based Learning. Is that right?
It is, and but even though it's the second piece, if you know a little bit about PBL, Project-Based Learning, and when we use PBL in this Project-Based Immersion, we're really talking about passion-based, problem-based, project-based, or even place-based learning. So if you have a pretty good understanding, then it'll be a perfect fit for you to come in, even though it's the second course.
If you did take the first course, how does the second one expand on what you learned in the first course?
Yeah, the first course was pretty cool because what it did is it really gave a great overview. It looked at inquiry-driven approaches to learning, and it talked about, what do we mean by project-based learning? What is it? What isn't it? We started brainstorming some things that we're teaching and that we're passionate about and interested in our own school setting. And then we actually shared those ideas. We brought in some experts that actually talked to us, that were great project-based teachers, and people were able to ask questions. And then we looked at how do you plan. We looked at some examples of projects, and then I met for an hour with each individual student to kind of really think through a project they might be considering doing. Basically, we talked a lot about essential questions and coming up with how do you choose a topic and how do you think about the topic. And so all somebody would really need to do to fit into the second one is to come with project in hand. Because in this, project idea in hand, because the second series, we're just going to develop the project. We're going to go really deep. I've actually been playing around with some ideas that I think I might use. Originally, I was just going to teach it in a more traditional way, and I think instead what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go about it in a little bit different format. And so I don't know that I'll reveal that right now, but I'm going to teach people to build their own project by modeling a project that we're all working on together. And a neat way to do it would be to take a topic that you're passionate about, like let's say Hunger Games or something like that, and work the project around that. Or it can be related to curriculum. But the second design a project is really very much around gathering materials, developing the lesson plans, thinking about how you're going to honor the learner in self-directed learning, how you're going to help them to implement the project, how to think about assessment pieces, thinking about place, what the environment's going to look like, who you're going to connect to, and how you find those people, what technologies you would use in order to develop the curriculum. So people will come out of it with a pretty well-designed project ready to go. And then in the third course in the Project-Based Immersion series, you will actually implement. And I'll be there to help with the implementation and the assessment pieces. We'll look at scale. We'll look at what's working, what's not working. We'll kind of tweak it as we go, and you'll have me there for that implementation.
This sounds fantastic. It sounds like a lot of one-on-one with the students.
That's one of the things that I think people said in the first course that they really appreciated is the individual time they got with the instructor. And then all the resources that you need to go to, they're all back in the course. So you can do those on your own in a self-paced sort of thing. But what I'm really focusing on is a lot of hand-holding, a lot of question answering. If I don't know the answers, then I bring in people who do. Helping people make connections, understanding where a personal learning network would come in handy if, let's say, your project is around architecture and you're going to build a tree house on the school property or something like that, and helping you to be connected to the people that you need to be connected to so the kids could think about blueprints and how you are going to create those and who we need to talk to and who we can interview and getting parents and other volunteers to come in and help. And, and it doesn't have to be that project, but I'm just saying in a project like that, that's sort of what you could. And I'm going to be there to help you make sure that you can have those connections and think those ideas through.
I was going to say that sounds like you're really preparing these teachers for total success in the classroom with these PBL projects, which is great.
Two things about PBL is that a lot of people think project-based learning is really project-directed learning. And I really explored this a lot in the first one, that a lot of the teachers that I was working with in that course, they kind of thought they were project-based teachers because they had were able to create a project and have the whole class work on it. It was really teacher-directed. The real delineation here is how do you take project-based learning and make it not about the project, but about the learner. And how do you make it student-directed? So that it isn't even student-centered, it's student-directed, where kids are making choices and that you're using formative assessment along the way as a learning process and helping them to really think deeply about what it is they're learning. And in the meantime, you're covering all the state standards. So for schools that are tied to assessments or standards, or let's say you're worried about AP and passing, that kind of thing, I show you how to tie it very nicely to those objectives and standards that you wish to tie it to, even though the kids are driving a lot of learning.
Okay. No, that sounds great. Can you maybe tell us about one of your favorite exercises or things that you do in this course, like one part of it that's really special to you?
You know, I think probably the most exciting thing to me is going to be how I'm going to embed the learning within the context of doing, which is exactly what I want teachers to do when they start working with their kids. So I got this idea. It was my grandchild, his favorite movie, he's 1.5, is Finding Nemo. And it's gotten to the point, and any parent can appreciate this, that I've watched this movie so many times that when he even says the word, I just want to immediately distract him and shut him down. Like, please, God, don't. Yeah, right? So then I got to thinking about it, and actually I was talking to my brother, and he said, you know, you ought to work a curriculum around Finding Nemo. And boom, it went off. And so what I've done is I've created some really interesting learning activities that we're going to do around how to turn a movie like Finding Nemo, Hunger Games, something like how to turn it into a curriculum learning experience for kids, and how you can sort of riff off that using it into your brainstorming when you do your mind map, and how you can tie it to curriculum that would either be, you know, elementary, middle school, or secondary, high school kind of specific. And so I guess it's the activities that I'll be having educators do that are very hands-on, but yet very demonstrative and very much modeling of the kinds of learning they'll create and help their students create in the project-based learning they're going to do.
I love that. I wish that I had had that when my son was in his Monsters, Inc. phase that lasted, I think, all of 2004. I think that would have been genius.
But that's the great thing about PBL, I think, is because the teacher really does set herself up as a learner.
Yep.
And that because you're not, you know, we know that whenever you have to pull materials together, synthesize them, analyze them, organize them, and then teach something to someone, you end up being the greatest learner. You really are putting yourself in the position to learn the most out of that. And there's something wrong with that. We need to be putting kids in the position to learn the most from whatever we're doing. So the cool thing about project-based learning is that you're co-learners. You and the kids are learning together. There's some things, because you're a community member, you'll be teaching about whatever it is everybody's studying. And there's some things that the kids are totally going to own that you're not, that you'll be learning from them. And that's what I like about it, is because it isn't the same curriculum year after year, the same textbook, the same chapter, the same questions, the same worksheets. It's totally different.
That's really smart. I like that a lot. All right, I'll ask you one last question, just a quick, who is the ideal candidate for this course? Who would benefit the most, and how would it up their teaching game?
I think the ideal candidate for this course would be a teacher that's really interested in constructivist kinds of learning, that they've heard some of the things around passion-based learning or project-based learning, and that their interest is piqued, and maybe they've even tried a little bit of it, but they want to start to think about it from a techno-constructivist point of view. And that if you're interested in how can technology, how can using different tools allow me to really allow these kids to be producers of knowledge rather than consumers, how can I tie into kid passion but still meet the state standards, or make sure that the objectives I want to teach, whatever the curriculum is in my school, are the outcomes that come out of this, then this is the course you want to take. It's going to help you understand how to maximize creativity and curiosity. So if you're a teacher who's really looking to move away from the traditional styles of teaching and to a certain extent, and incorporate technology, but yet still stay within the guidelines of what's expected of you by your school administrators or the district, then this is the course for you to teach how to do it. How to have the rigor, and yet really engage kids and get them curious and allow them to be creative.
Okay. That was fascinating stuff. Thank you so much, Sheryl, for talking with us today. This is your Project-Based Learning Immersion, Designing Quality Projects, Part 2 e-course. And this begins January 7th, 2013. So if you want to sign up, don't wait too long. Got to get in there, hurry up. You can go to the website, plpnetwork.com, and all of the information's on there. Leave us a question in the comments if you have any questions. And thank you so much for watching.
Bye, everybody.